Hello, I'm going to give you some tips today on how to perform your speech from Shakespeare. And I'm going to use the speech, "This Island's Mine," which is one of Caliban's speeches in The Tempest. I'm going to hopefully show you ways that you can look at the speech for performance and clues and tips to look for to make it exciting. So, first of all, when you get a speech like this, you've got to think of V for voice. What can I do with my voice to make this speech interesting in performance? Because we need to keep the audience attentive and listening to you. We don't want them to fall asleep. So I've got to think of some variety I can use with my voice. Maybe moments where I can speed up or slow down. Moments where I might choose to be loud or more thoughtful and soft. Maybe I want to build up to a crescendo of noise. I've got to do lots of different things with my voice to keep my audience interested. And if I look at my text and my words and my verse, then there are lots of clues to help me with my vocal variety. So the first thing I'm going to look for is punctuation. I am going to explore punctuation in my verse. By that, I'm going to look for things that stand out for me. So I might look for any words with alliteration. In this speech, I can see beetles and bats are together. So that might be really helpful for me to choose those words vocally and do something with them. It doesn't matter what I do with them because that's your choice as an actor, but you've got to do something. If Shakespeare gives you a clue, you've got to be like a detective, work on it and do something with it. So alliteration is something I might use. I might also look for things that stand out like, in this speech here, I can see two moments where Shakespeare gives me lists of words. Fresh springs, brine pits, barren place and fertile. So I could do something with those. Maybe I could change my voice. I could go softer on some of those words. I might really choose those words and emphasize things like fertile. There's another list. Toads, beetles, bats. With this one, I might choose to get louder on each one. Again, it doesn't matter what I do, but I've noticed that feature of the list and I've got to do something with it. Another thing as well I look for is where my full stops are and my commas, places where I can breathe. When they're at the end of the line, that's quite easy for me to take a breath. But in this speech, I notice that Caliban has lots of midline endings, and that means that the full stop comes in the middle of the line. Now, it's pretty hard to take a breath after that full stop because I have a new thought coming straight after, more words. So what does this tell me about my character? Maybe it's telling me that Caliban has got a lot of things to say and he's crashing on with lots of thoughts. Maybe he doesn't want anyone to interrupt him. So by keeping his voice going, he can stop somebody from interrupting him. So that could be a really important clue to my character. When I look at punctuation, it can really help me find out a little bit more about my character. And I might circle them to remind me not to stop. Now, something else I notice in this speech is the repetition of I, mine, my, me. Seems quite personal. And also alongside that, you, thou, thee. So this speech is telling me something really important, that it's quite personal. Maybe it's an argument between two people, me, you. Maybe he's got something that I want. Let me just have a look how many times I and you are spoken. Here we go. Mine, my, me, thou, me, me, thee, I, you, I, mine, me. Okay, so I've really got to use those me's and you's to tell the story. This is, I think, really crucial in this speech. It seems to me that he has something I want, and it's a tug of war between me and you. So I'll look at that a little bit further in a minute, but that is a really important clue that Shakespeare is giving me to focus on in this speech, and I mustn't forget it. So I've got V for voice, I must be thinking about, E for exploring punctuation, R, I'm going to look at the rhythm. Now, Shakespeare writes in something called iambic pentameter. Dee-dum, 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 dee-dum. It's the rhythm of the heartbeat. It's nice and measured and gentle, and lots of the verse flows in this iambic pentameter, sometimes. But in my speech here, my iambic pentameter isn't very obvious. In fact, lots of my lines have more than 10 syllables in them. What's that telling me about Caliban? Again, it's a clue that he's got lots to say. Maybe he's showing how his emotional state is. He's quite angry or he's excited. He wants to get something across. So I really have to show that when I observe the rhythm of my speech. I have to show that it's complicated and that the lines are long and they're not measured and thoughtful. But there are also a couple of lines which follow beautifully the iambic pentameter. Lines like this one. For I am all the subjects that you have. Now that's a really simple line. And that could be a great clue for me because it could show me that Caliban is sincere and trustworthy, perhaps. And he's speaking from his heart. So he's not all bluster and anger and rage. There is a gentle, thoughtful side to him. And he's kind of a character that flits between these two things. So that's a great clue for my character. I got to make the most of those measured lines as well as the complicated lines. Right, so I'm looking at the rhythm. What else do I look for? Well, I have to make sure that I understand my poem. So I have to make sense of my poem, all right? Understanding and being clear about what you're saying is probably the most important thing. Because if you're clear, then the audience will understand the story. So I've got this speech here, and I'm just going to go back a little bit to see where it comes in the play. So I need to know where this scene comes from. Just before Caliban enters, Prospero calls him a poisonous slave got by the devil himself. Now, imagine someone introducing you like that. Not particularly nice, is it? And Caliban replies back with a southwest blow on you and blister you all over. So you can see straight away that this is not a happy relationship between Prospero and Caliban. There's a lot of anger and a lot of hate. And Prospero then says to Caliban, because you spoke to me like that, I'm going to make sure tonight you have cramps, you experience the most pain you've ever had. And then we get our speech. So, no wonder Caliban is raging and angry. Prospero has just said he's going to make his life awful. And he then replies with this rather angry speech where he says, do you know what? This island used to be mine. It was my mother's place until you came and you took it from me. And when you first arrived, you were really nice to me and you showed me lovely things to eat. And you educated me and told me about the moon and the sun. And I showed you all the wonderful places on this island. All the springs and the brine pits, all the wonderful places. But now I wish I never had done that. And I wish that my mother's spell was on you. And all the horrible things will happen to you because you know what? This is my island. It was always mine. And you are keeping me here in this rock, unable to walk around freely. That's what the speech is about. Now, it's quite hard sometimes to understand the language of Shakespeare because it's complicated. It was written a long time ago, so words are tricky. So don't worry, if you struggle with anything, email your teacher or ask your teacher or email us here at Primary Shakespeare Company. We'll help you out. But there are also some really good websites out there that have modern day equivalent language to the speeches, and you can read what the modern day equivalent words are, then go back to your speech and check that you understand it and keep going backwards and forwards until it totally makes sense to you, because that is the key to understanding verse, all right? And making it clear to your audience. So we've got V for your voice, E, exploring punctuation, R for rhythm, S for sense, and E is all about enjoying it. Energize it, Do whatever you can to bring it alive. You may want to skip your way through the speech or run up and down the stairs or say it when you're in the shower. It really doesn't matter. Try and find different ways of saying the speech until it really, really means something to you, and enjoying it is absolutely crucial. I'm going to have a little go at the speech myself, but I'm sure you can do a great job too. Here we go. Trying to think of all those things. This island's mine, by Sycorax my mother, which thou takest from me when thou camest first. Thou strokest me and made much of me, wouldst give me water with berries in it, and teach me how to name the bigger light and how the less, that burn by day and night. And then I loved thee, and showed thee all the qualities of the isle, the fresh springs, brine pits, barren place and fertile. Cursed be I that did so all the charms of Sycorax. Toads, beetles, bats, light on you, for I am all the subjects that you have, which first was mine own king, and here you stye me in this hard rock, whilst you do keep from me the rest of the island.